Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Having said that, I will uh, turn it over to Councillor Tucky. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Call the meeting to order at 8:25. Delegations, seeing no delegations, move on to declaration of financial interest. Seeing none, put the agenda on the floor that was reviewed. Can somebody make a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I move that the agenda be adopted as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? No, okay. All in favor of the motion? Passed unanimously. Minutes of the Corporate Services Standing Committee minutes of April 9th, 2024 were reviewed and adopted at a regular meeting of council on April 16th, 2024. Visions and values were reviewed. Oh, sorry. Any business arising from the minutes? Deputy Mayor.
Page 1, item 3B, the ambulance bay, is that going to go to tender for the next year or not?
SAO?
See. No plans at this time to put it out for tender. I don't have any direction on that one specifically, as well as that's not one of our priorities right now. And there is a concern that I did have a quick discussion just asking about the current location, and it suits our needs. It's quite large, and it's considered one of the only really suitable spots. And the concern is that if it does go out for tender, we could just end up paying more than we already are out there. That the same person could come back in, bid on it, and just charge more, and that would be the only option. I did go for a tour of our 2 ambulance bays just for interest sakes, and we have a lot of stuff stored in that 1 ambulance bay. We have all of the cots, everything from the evacuations center is stored there, all the blankets. It's packed with stuff, so it's quite a large space, and it's quite well utilized at this time.
Deputy Mayor?
Just to clarify, we only have the 1 other ambulance bay. We do not own the ambulance bay at the town, at the hospital.
Councillor Campbell?
Going back to putting out tender, I think we should. It's good for the private sector, good for the community of Fort Smith. Let everybody have a chance to bid on it. We might get it a lot cheaper and have a good accessible location somewhere closer. We could have somebody downtown bidding on it. We don't know. We put it out to tender and I thought we already put a motion together to have it out for tender here earlier on in the year, if I recall right. Thanks. So I make a motion. Should I make a motion now and put it out that we direct administration to put it out to tender to see what we get back?
I think I need more information. I need like a briefing note on the needs for, I think I'm missing some information on whether we need, what it is we actually need before we know what we're putting out for tender.
Councillor Campbell?
I think we are putting that ambulance bay out to tender for the community of Fort Smith to get the best deal going. That's what I'm thinking for the ambulance bay, but we could ask for a briefing note and go from there.
Councillor Ferguson?
So yeah, 100% agree with Councillor Campbell. However, I know that we have some future planning on our protective services building, like our fire department, and like, is there not a future plan for a future proposal for a whole new facility? And we were looking for, remember, we're looking for land for that and potential sites and such. I think that's within our our capital budgeting in the next 5 years. So I think maybe if we have that already in plan for that protective, like a fire department building is what then that those ambulance bays are covered within that facility.
Councillor Campbell.
Yes, I agree with you. But I'm still saying within the 5, 7 years, whatever it takes to come to the thing, we got to give the residents of Fort Smith, the members, community members, a chance to bid on that thing instead of just awarding it to one outfit every year. Thanks. But it should be out to tender. Everything, it's good money for somebody, and we might get it for $1,500 a month. We don't know. Thanks.
Councillor Ferguson.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding the conversation then. I thought you were talking about building an ambulance bay. This is a put out to tender for who hosts our ambulance bay. Okay, I understand. That's more clear then. Thanks.
I would like to see a briefing note before we go through with anything out for competition for an ambulance bay. Something, what we spent in the last 10 years on the ambulance bay and everything. And the thing is, and that's what I'd like to see, something with the cost and I don't think the location, because there's some closer. There's a lot of buildings in town here. So we'll have to just get a briefing note on what we want. Thanks. So do I need to make a motion for a briefing note? I'll make a motion that we get a briefing note from administration for the ambulance bay operation and costs, so to see if we put it out to tender.
Sure, I'll second that.
Councillor Couveret.
Yeah, just a quick addition to that. I think it should also be fairly comprehensive on what our spatial needs are for other things such as the cots and all of the other, because I've been in there once and I was amazed at how much stuff we have there. So just make sure that we do have a very comprehensive briefing note, including spatial needs and et cetera.
Councillor Campbell.
About cots and that, weren't we building one of these little small buildings for all this extra stuff, like the cots and that were in there? One of the new buildings that we have a tower, I think, at the maintenance shop or the maintenance yard. I thought we were building that for some of the cots and everything to have in one location, if I recall right.
Okay, motion on the floor. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. You and are you voting? Okay, all in favor, one abstention. Councillor Couveret.
Yes, I'll make this very quick. I have two items with regards to the minutes of the corporate services meeting of April 9th. There was a reference to us meeting the post-secondary education committee meeting with the minister and the board. We met with the minister last week. I think it was very, very productive meeting, very good, lots of good feedback. And we made it quite clear that we still consider Fort Smith the education capital of the NWT. And I didn't hear any strong objections to our position. So I'll try and provide a further briefing during my council reporting at the regular council meeting. The second item was with the NTPC intervention. Again, there was a decision rendered by the Public Utilities Board revising the rate application by the NTPC from 11.6 million. They were granted a 2.5 million increase in their overall rate application. And the figure I saw that equates to about a 1 cent per kilowatt increase for Fort Smith rather than the 5 cents per kilowatt that would have been granted if the full amount had been granted. The Public Utility Board also instructed the NWT Power Corporation. They were seeking, as part of this application, is that they would be required to submit a general rate application, which would apply across the territories, and that they would consider that by the end of the year. So there will be a call for, or NTPC will issue or apply for another general rate application sometime over the next several months. Probably wanting to get most of the 11 million that they say is a shortfall. And I think it's we have an obligation to our citizens to apply for and hopefully be granted intervener status in that application as well. So more information will be coming forward on that.
Thank you, Councillor Couverette. Deputy Mayor Coral.
It has been my understanding that the charges that we've incurred for having these interventions and stuff have been coded to the councillor budget for PR. And I was just wondering if we could have some clarification as to why it would go under there and where they might have gone in the past. Because basically we have no PR money left now, and it's May. So.
Deputy Mayor, Councillor Couverette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As far as the previous intervener status that we applied for, which was the sale of the assets from Northland Utilities to the NT Power Corporation, we are eligible for a refund for our costs on that. And I was waiting for the consultant to confirm that we were recognized as an intervener in the last intervention, and I believe those costs may be recoverable from the Public Utility Board as well.
Councillor Ferguson.
No, thank you. Councillor Cravette asked and answered my question.
Mayor Daniels.
Yeah, you just got to take in consideration that one more time, we're going to have to use them in January, right? If we're going to be interveners. So we're going to have to get that money and then put it back out there again. So that's.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we've quite aware of our vision and values and the strategic plan. Moving on to governance, infrastructure. SAO?
It's my understanding that this section is for council to report on the various committees that they are a part of. This isn't administration aspect.
Thank you. Deputy, nothing? Deputy Mayor?
I'm a little confused on this because in the past, these are our, I'm sorry, the words escape me now. Our goals and objectives for the council, and some of these we can't report on, like human resources, that type of thing. So usually they were done by the SAO.
Yes, they were. So how we're going to resolve this? There's nothing to report at all in any of these? Well, we did get a report in the post-secondary education and TPC, I believe. Okay, Deputy Mayor, for bylaws, was that?
The bylaw review committee met for the first time in the last week. And we did a brief review on one bylaw, and we are meeting again in the next 10 days, I believe. And we will have it brought forward for hopefully the next round of council meetings in here. But I was wondering if there's anything that we can have an update from on human resources. I see there's many positions out for competition. If we have any updates on what's going on, and if they've been completed or what's going on.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. SAO?
In regards to in-house, in the actual town hall, we have a new, I forget your term right now. We have a new clerk at the fire hall who's, excuse me, administrative clerk at the fire hall. We have a new receptionist and clerk at our front end. Right now, both of those clerks are tag teaming and providing support for the executive secretary position, which I'm very, very grateful for. And I think together, while things may not look like they always have, I think they're doing a great job. I think we're all doing a great job figuring out, making sure we're meeting all of the needs. Recently hired the economic and tourism officer, and that's Emily's shop, and they're training on that. And I don't have a list of any of the other ones right now. We do have, our current bylaw officer was hired on a term. That term has expired, so we have it posted right now. And that'll close at the end of the month. And that's all I can think of at this moment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Campbell.
With our human resource person, is she involved in all the hiring and the job description and that stuff?
My apologies. I totally could have spoken about that project instead of the individual staff. I wasn't even thinking that. Our HR contractor has been an excellent resource to have. She's away right now. She comes in next week. She's moving along quite well within the project. She's helped us revamp the job descriptions. She does help us with the postings. We're working on training plans, onboarding plans, looking at cross-training opportunities. And she's been, working on the different policies. And just an invaluable resource to have, especially just starting out in this position. It's been really, really good having her there to sort of run things off of and to work with to get a better understanding of various policies or the assessments. We've sent most of the positions. I think all of the positions have been sent out for assessment. I'm not sure where we are in receiving them all back. And that was part of her goal, was to get them all reassessed and to just ensure that our full HR plan is everybody's being updated and properly assessed.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Coral.
I thought that we had this person as a term only till the end of March. Was that not part of the contract for that?
SAO?
There was a full when Keith brought forward the budget, I think he'd extended it, and there's a full budget for 2024 for that project. No, not a full-time position for that project. And we've expanded some of the capacity around the onboarding and the training. So there is in the capital budget, I believe there's funding within that one. So we're operating within that. I think it's, no, capital. Is the HR project not within our capital priorities? I don't have that right in front of me, I'm sorry. I will be ready, prepared to speak to this at the next corporate services meeting.
Councillor Campbell.
Here we go, giving capital projects out to people. We got to make it consistent. We got to put it out to tender and everything. We're all here totally surprised that we did this. Nobody informed us, no communication again about what's happening. Thanks.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. Well, I think we were all in attendance and we all passed the 2024 capital plan, to which the human resource project was on there, and with a side note increase to $200,000 because of the partial completion. And we were all given and received this information. I should have read it.
Councillor Campbell.
We are giving somebody $200,000 when we could put it out to tender. We give them that first money for a contract to get us going, then it should have been out to tender for a project officer. We are just putting money. I don't know I don't see any results yet because we're still hiring who we want and do what we want, but we're not getting anything from what I see with this project, with this human resource officer. We got to get something for our dollar. We're just going, we add money to it and we're not putting, we're just adding money to it and we're just giving money away.
Deputy Mayor Coral.
I'm just reviewing the contract that went out, and it was till March 22nd that we signed the contract for to be completed. And then it was to move forward from there.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thanks. And I mean, we're looking at the human resource project as not a person who hires people for our organization. I hope that that's not what the impression is as this human resource project. This person under our human resource is looking at how and our policies, procedures, and the who, what, how we do things as an organization. They have no process in who we hire or what we hire, but like they're not part of the hiring process. They're the ones giving us the tools so that our employees at the town of Fort Smith have what they need to hire smart or hire. And then once those folks are hired, how to onboard them, like how to get them into your corporate fold, how to get them to understand the town of Fort Smith, how to be under our corporation. Like that's what this human resource project was for, because we didn't have that umbrella, like unified consistency throughout the organization. And then that's where you might have felt over here and over there and felt things confused. This is that unification of our hiring processes so that we're doing it the same for everyone. They have no say on who we are hiring.
I'm not disputing that. What I'm saying is we had initially hired this person on a contract till the end of March to assist with our outgoing interim SAO, with our new incoming SAO, to get things sorted out a little bit. But the HR project, that was to go out as a project. And I don't think that I saw, I may have missed it, but I don't think I saw a proposal going out with the full, what we're looking for in that, not just a very vague item on there. So I could have missed it. I'm sorry.
Councillor Prisoner.
Yes, thank you. My understanding, I thought also was that it was till the end of March 28th. I'm not disputing what the person has to do, but also what Councillor Campbell was saying, we didn't put it out for someone to do. We just gave it. I think that's what where the conversation led to, not what this person is hiring, this one. No, it's how the actual contract was given. Thank you.
Counselor Campbell.
Okay, when we hired her as, because we felt we're in a deep trench, when we hired her at an emergency at our human resources person until March 28th, and then we figured we'll be able to put it out, if I understood right. And not to just keep renewing it and giving more money to somebody, it has to go out to the public. We're always forgetting about the public, the people that put us here. We got to give them a chance to get some of that money, some of the, if they're qualified, let's use them. Everybody, let's let the best person come forward. Thanks.
SAO.
I'd like the chance to go and get a better understanding. I understood through the capital project and the capital plan that this was an approved project going forward. So I don't quite have the history on what prompted the beginning of it. What I do have is a plan of work, a full work plan for this project that we are working our way through. So I would like the opportunity to go back to get a better understanding, to maybe talk to Keith about what was the intent going forward, and to bring a briefing note forward for the council meeting later this month or early next month, just about what what my understanding is, and also what our work plan is and where we're at with that one.
Any further discussion on the matter? Moving on to the director's report, corporate service report, SAO.
Our corporate services report. So with the majority of our corporate services staff are new, there's been a really strong focus on the training and development of this team, and the training plans are being developed, rather, and we're doing ongoing training. Currently, we have 3 new staff in the office, 4 new staff in the office. So that's been a real strong focus on learning their main roles, as well as with some shortages, the team has been amazingly stepping into and supporting each other and providing cross training in different roles. So there's a good understanding by the whole team, especially for the reception, for the front desk. So there's always somebody public facing, even if there's nobody in the office that day or that reception's not there. And again, I don't know how to say that strong enough, but the team has really, really been amazing at supporting each other and providing that training to each other, learning together and working together on that one. April was the annual audit, and the team was incredibly busy with this, but overall it did go really, really well. The draft copy's already been shared with MACA, and the auditors will be doing up a briefing with myself and with council in a very short while. No major issues. There will be a deficit in the utilities account due to the 3 months forgiveness from last year following the evacuation, I believe. But overall, I believe the organization as a whole will be in the surplus. That was sort of the draft, what we're looking at with the draft. We're working on our Q1 2024 report, which will be presented later on this month. Tax levies have been completed, mailed out. You should have got yours by now. The list of tax arrears have been provided to legal, and mailing reminders for outstanding property owners have gone out. June 27th, scheduled date for the property auction, and corporate service director is currently on holidays until the 23rd of May. Any questions? That was it for that page, right? Yeah. Any questions?
Deputy Mayor Coral.
Thank you for that. I'm glad that the audit went good. I've had many inquiries about the tax notices that went out, and it appears that there may have been some errors on some parts of what's gone out. And some people have come in to pay their taxes, but they were found out that they actually had a credit from last year and they were double paid. And I was just wondering if I'm the only one that's hearing of this, or is there other people that are having some issues? I know we have new staff, and I'm not disputing that it's a learning process, but I was just wondering if there's something that needs to be rectified.
SAO.
I'll definitely have that conversation tomorrow. I hadn't heard that. I knew there'd been some up at the front, people just learning the process of how to actually accept the payments and how to figure it out. So that might have been where some of that came out of, but let me follow up with that, please, and make sure that we address any issues.
Councillor Campbell.
When I was in the town hall this afternoon too, I watched right in front of me, one of the seniors there doing their billing now. So you're not the only one that's.
Deputy Mayor.
I was at the seniors meeting last week, and there was 10 people at the meeting who had different experiences than they've ever had before with the town with their taxes. So
Me too, but I can't talk about it. Mayor Daniels.
Yes, we do have to take a deeper look in this. Yes, I do know we have new staff on, but however, we should take a deeper look in it too. So that's all I'm gonna say. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to accounts paid. Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. I'm just noticing check number 41648 in a large amount for monthly heating bills. I was just wondering if we could have some more details for what the breakdown for that check.
SAO.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you the details and I'll send that out by email like I did last time.
SAO.
Some of that is the reclamation work that's been ongoing. I just remember there was a large sum in there that was the reclamation, as well as in there. It's just combined in into one check. But I can still provide you the details, but that is why it's excessively high.
Deputy Mayor Coral.
just have a question about check 41657 to Aurora Manufacturing for the replacing the transmission on the garbage truck. Was there, I mean, it was $27,000. Was there quotes from people in town who do that received as well? And as a secondary to that, I noticed that the garbage truck wasn't being used, at least in my area today. It was the flatbed truck again. So is it broken again?
SAO.
I'll have to look into both those.
Any further discussion on accounts paid? Moving on to license report. SAO.
Those are the business licenses that were issued in April 2024. Development permits that have been issued, there's 4. And the dog tags, we have 6 now, or 6 new ones in April.
Thank you for that. Moving on to administration.
I move that council utilizes the first come, first served basis of wood permit distribution as outlined in the briefing note.
I'll second that.
Discussion. Counselor Campbell.
So where's our safety in that pile of wood? We don't have, like, when we first talked about it, we were gonna put it in piles of 5 foot high, the logs, but they're big, long rows of logs. How are we gonna get people in there cutting wood? We don't want 100 people cutting in at the same time. It just doesn't seem like there's any thought going into how it's broken down or what. And if we first come, first serve, so everybody go in there and cut wood at the same time, or what's gonna happen to that? That's what I don't understand. And it's dangerous.
Counselor Ferguson.
Thank you. I do agree about safety with Councillor Campbell. We would like that to make sure that people are going in there safely using it and utilizing this. I would like to think that this town of Fort Smith citizens who want to go cut firewood are within their realm of common sense and have a knowledge base that would allow them to feel confident enough that they're able to grab a chainsaw and a truck and go to a wood pile and safely cut wood. I don't think someone without a skill set would be accessing something like this. I don't think it's not the invitation for a free for all type thing. And I really think that if we do open this up, I think it's a good, people know what they're doing. We're not, like, they're not going to go in there and put another in danger. We're talking about people who probably cut wood for sustenance, for heat, for anything that they're using for their, personal needs. I don't think that we're kind of like a conversation we've had in the past, like skate park. We know kids, we want to have kids to say, hey, I know how to ride my bike and I know how to go on a skate park. You have to use your common sense in some things and not put yourself in harm's way. Same kind of thing applies to here. You're not going to walk into a wood lot with a chainsaw without the ability to use a chainsaw and cut wood to harvest for yourself.
Counselor Campbell.
Well, I agree with you, but when somebody's cutting wood and it's done for the day and they know about a log that's holding the whole pile up or something, they don't tell the next person, and the next person comes cut one log and the whole pile rolls on them. That's why we talked about it a year ago, last fall, of putting them in small piles and lengths. Somebody's going to get in there with a truck and start pulling a log out, and everybody's going to do something different. And that's where I'm saying the safety comes. And we're going to have some green people go out there and cut wood too. So we got to make sure everybody's safety. And that's why I said we got to have some space between them. We can't have 20 people within 20 feet cutting wood. We had trees knocked on people over the years since I've been here when they cut wood close together. School teachers and everything injured. But we got to think of safety first, and we got to think of the public. We got to break up those piles into more things and not just a free for all. Because if somebody goes in there, they're going to cut that one 4 foot thick tree at the bottom, they're going to try and pull it out of the pile to do their thing, and we're going to have wood all over the country. I know, I just think the safety of people has to take priority.
Mayor Daniels.
Yeah, I guess for me, it just how many, if it's a free for all, how many cords have they taken out of there? Pay? Yeah, but I'm just looking at equal, right? I don't want someone going there that's in the log business or going to get in log business, take half of it and start selling it to the people again. Like, what's the monitoring process?
People want to speak. Deputy Mayor Coral.
So I appreciate the work that's gone into this, and I'm agreeing with Councillor Campbell on one issue. There is, they are very close together. So you get there 80 people, and if everybody shows up at the same time, because it's only allowed a week, if somebody's not doing their pile and somebody beside them is taking them and all their logs roll into their pile, like I just have some concerns on how that might happen. And I know I cut wood, but this isn't the way I do that. So,
Councillor Ferguson.
We want the wood gone. We don't want the wood to stay there. We don't want the wood to rot, and we don't want the wood to burn. So if people want to come and cut the wood so that they can take it into their home, we do not want to create layers of bureaucracy to prevent people from coming and cutting wood, which I kind of feel that this is the tone of the conversation about creating more safety barrier. I think we are overthinking this issue. These piles are not high. If you're worried about a log roll from the last person, come up and kick the log. Make sure before you cut, you're being safe. Before you dig a hole, make sure there's not a power line underneath. Before you do something, use your common sense as a grown person doing a job with a chainsaw not to hurt yourself. Right? Don't make this a bigger issue than it needs to be.
Councillor Bolio.
I have no problem with who comes and get the wood and removes it. My only concern is we got to all be aware there's graduation coming up in a couple of weeks, and these kids are going to be aware of the wood burning out there. So that's my main concern.
Well, maybe someone needs to talk to the school. Deputy Mayor Daniels.
Okay, my concern now is about money. Did we hand in our bills to the federal government so we get paid for this?
SAO.
Those are being finalized right now. I'm actually in conversation with MACA because there is a small element that wasn't burned before we put the bans on. And so they can't do it. So I'm actually talking with MACA if we can still finalize that project and what that looks like, or what will be the cost if we withhold that final part and do the burn next year or in the winter when it's safe. So, but we're working with MACA. We will get reimbursed for this, and we have all of our invoices and everything together. So if the question was, are we going to get paid? Yes.
Just
Mayor Daniels.
Just on another note, on that small burn, is there enough there to just bring a cat and just level it and cut it up and there you go, rather than waiting to burn it next year?
That's something I would have to ask operations.
Councillor Couverette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like a lot of the councillors have said here, I'm concerned about the safety aspect of a first come, first serves, basically free for all. I think we need some way to assure that even though we get people to sign waivers, a lot of those waivers, unless they're written, and we've been able to demonstrate that we've done all our due diligence, those waivers can get tossed out. And we could be liable if somebody, to be honest, there will be idiots out there cutting wood. And you're going to have a log roll onto somebody, and there's a possibility that we could be held liable for that. So I know the timelines on this. We want to try and do it as quickly as possible. I would like to see the safety aspect of it addressed a bit better. Some way of making sure that people aren't cutting right next to each other, because accidents will happen. Somebody cuts all other things I can see happening is somebody's going to go out there, cut a whole bunch of wood, have to go off somewhere, and somebody else is going to pull up and say, oh, look, all this wood's been cut for me, and take somebody's pile of wood. It will happen. And we're going to be dragged into being policing something like this. So I think we need to focus on how can we assure that, number one, safety is foremost in our plans, and secondly, that People aren't going to come back and expect us to be monitoring and policing this as they will be demanding as people go and start taking wood that other people have cut.
Councillor Campbell.
Oh, I agree with Councillor Ferguson on getting rid of that wood, but we got to make sure we cover our butts here on this one. I don't know if we should have, did we get legal to write us up, what do you call it? Like a waiver, yes. Waiver, I think we should be looking at, and we got to get a big board made up from, what's the name? This is the rules in here. If you don't abide by them, you're out of here. But that means we're going to have a cop down there. And it's just going to get it's just going to on and on and on. I don't know what to do about that. Thanks.
SAO? No. Councillor Ferguson.
I hope that we aren't policing a wood lot, because that would be a ridiculous waste of our manpower and our staff. So I think we don't police people cutting trees in the wood. We don't stop people on the side of the road when they go in to haul a log out. We're not in the business of like, hey, do you have a chainsaw certificate before you go harvest your own wood? No one's checking anyone's license for that. I think you're sure there is a safety concern. Maybe someone would steal someone's wood, but if you're out there harvesting that wood, there's probably seven people. I bet you there won't be more than 7 people that are going to go out to that lot and cut it. And I can't see if they're in the same window, if you're there at that time, people will be like, okay, this is my spot, first come, first serve. They're going to stand there and watch that good wood. Okay, you go home and deliver and I'll come back. They're going to self-regulate or self-manage this. I don't think we need to be in the policing woodlots, especially because it's a big fire hazard. We don't want that. And we don't want that rot in next year and the year after. And if we don't deal with it, that is going to become the next big fuel source for a huge burn.
Councillor Couverette, would you like to take chair the meeting for a moment?
I'll assume chair.
Thank you. We're not responsible for policing people and what they do. But if we're going to do something and give something away to the public that is going to put them at risk, we are responsible for making sure, to the best of our ability as a corporation of Fort Smith, to do so in a manner that is conducive to their well-being and safety. Now, someone said the pile's not that high. Well, people in the logging industry get killed, and they're experts at logging. People who fight fires get killed, and they're experts at fighting fires. Unfortunately, Fort Smith has seen people go out in the bush and cut wood, get hurt. Things do happen. So I think as a corporation, we have to decrease the possibility of anything happening to anybody in our community if we're going to provide this service. This is not an easy service to provide in a safe manner, but we can mitigate some of the risks by making smaller piles so people will get drawn there. Well, there's 8 cords of wood there. We don't need a long stretch of logs that do have the potential to roll. Logs do very easily roll. In fact, they can even roll in the water. So I'm going to suggest that we look at a way of making things safe. Make smaller piles, separate the piles so people aren't on top of each other. Post signs, use at your own risk. And we don't have to police this situation. We really don't. We just have to make it as safe as possible that we can make it for our public to access that in the manner providing that if they use their common sense, they can harvest the wood. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tuckey. I'll turn the chair back to you.
Thank you. Can we have a repeat of what the motion is, please?
So it is in front of you. It's that council utilizes the first come, first served basis for wood permit distribution as outlined in the briefing note.
SAO?
There's a lot of interest and queries. We're getting many, like there's a waiting list and everything. You can amend it. I can look at what we could do to separate it into piles. I don't know if we have the manpower to do that right away. People are lined up. There are other ways to sort of control it, to have only 4 people there at a time or what have you. But again, who's going to police it? Is this council's going to step in and police this? Like, I don't have the manpower for this. We're willing to keep it open later in the evenings, even though the public works team's closed. Our rec staff are willing to go over and shut the gates at the end of the evening, so it is a longer day. We're doing as much as we can to give people as much access time as they can, but we want to get that cleaned up and cleaned out of there in a fairly quick time.
Councillor Campbell?
Yeah, I agree with you, but we got to just make sure our safety things and go with the motion as long as we put a sign up there, get something from our legal saying that we could do it this way and use at your own risk and pull some of those piles more towards the highway to break them down, and let's go from there. Let's get it going.
Deputy Mayor Coral?
So as stated in the briefing note, it does say that anybody who is going in there, they will have a waiver that is going to be required and signed by the harvester prior to being allowed to obtain the wood.
Okay, as the motion stands, all in favor? There's a waiver. All in favor? Passed unanimously. Thank you.
I move that council accept the status report on capital project updates as information.
I'll second that.
Discussion? No discussion, all in favor? Councillor Bolio? Is that a yay or nay? Okay, passed unanimously.
I move that council accept the status report as information only on the briefing note for the pool assessment RFQ status.
I'll second.
Discussion? Deputy Mayor Coral?
I'd just like to put out a big shout out of thank you for getting the pool going up fast as it was and with the expansion of the number of days that it's open. Thank you very much.
Counselor Campbell.
Yeah, thank you for that, keeping a little bit longer. But I thought we wanted to get this RFQ out ASAP and it's been, we were supposed to have it for a week after our last meeting and it's only coming to us now. And let's get it going and push it hard to get done so we get the pool evaluated and assessed to see where we're wrong and put people in charge to correct it.
Deputy Mayor Coral.
As noted in the briefing note that the administration did an invitational to 6 qualified firms with experience in the area. 4 have responded and 2 have confirmed they will provide quotes by the end of the day, May 10th. So it's moved forward as fast as it seems that they're able to.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Passed unanimously. Other business. Councillor Ferguson.
Well, I think this is great that we're reviewing councillor conduct, and specifically this had come up in our bylaw review. And I think that it's a really good for all of us to have reference, as is all of our responsibilities in regards to these are just snippets of the fuller responsibilities and ethics and codes of conduct that we are subject to. And I know that we all have copies of these and these bylaws. And it was, oh yeah. Oh, we all have bylaw 879, which is our code of conduct for council members. Yeah, so this had all come up in conversation at our bylaw review. And I think it's a good refresher for it to come in front of us here. And as we go forward, making sure that we follow the code of conduct set out towards us and the ethics in which we should follow.
Councillor Couverette.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I did sort of request that this be added to the agenda. One of the things we all agreed to when we put our names forward to be councillors and affirmed when we gave our oath to the office of councillorship and our declaration that we would conduct ourselves in accordance with our code of conduct, our council procedures bylaw, and our council procedures policy. And it seems on many occasions, and I would have to pretty well say almost everyone at this table, myself included, have at times trampled over our code of conduct in being, I'll be blunt, critical of our employees. And if you read there, under relationship with staff, first of all, it says that as an effective counselor will work as part of a council team. We're a pretty good team, but we do have sometimes issues with within our group, and a group of this large, that's expected. Very many different personalities and dynamics around the table. But if you look at item number 5, it says refrain from publicly criticizing staff in a way that casts aspirations on their professional competence and credibility. And that's the one I think we trample on a lot. It's up to us as councillors to establish the policies that our administration will direct staff to saying this is how the town should be operated. we've given administration that responsibility to manage and operate the town to the best of their abilities. If we have criticisms of how that's being done, first of all, that criticism should be directed to the SAO on an informal one-on-one basis. And if there's no resolution, then you bring it forward to council as a bigger body and say, there is an issue. It will probably be one of our too frequent in-camera sessions. But the issue is dealt in that way. We should not be sitting there saying things, and it has happened, where we've criticized staff openly during council meetings, and secondly, within cameras in our in-camera sessions. And our in-camera sessions are public meetings. It's just they're confidential. We're obligated to extend the same courtesies and conduct in our in-camera sessions as we are right now in a public open thing. So I just ask, let's follow our code of conduct. If you have problems with staff and things like that, bring it up at the SAO, and if we're unable to resolve it at that level, then bring it forward to the rest of the council, to the mayor. We're the ones responsible for policy, leadership. Telling somebody they're doing a piss poor job is not leadership. We should be sitting there giving them creative ways to improve their performance rather than saying they're doing a piss poor job. And now, before I start ranting and going on too far, I think I'll leave it at that. Just one last thing. Yes, we do have a right to ask questions. But administration also has a right not to answer those questions if they feel that they infringe on our code of conduct and are out of order. And as counselors, when we feel somebody is not following the code of conduct or our procedures or things like that, just ask, point of order. Correct it before it goes too far. Because the way we behave here around this circle is reflective of how our council is viewed by the public. If we're sitting around here pretending and acting like we're pompous idiots, well, that's what they're going to think of us. If we show everybody the courtesy that we're required to under the code of conduct, people will look at us and say, I don't agree with them, but they're trying to do the best that they can. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Couvret. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on. Date of next meeting. The next Corporate Services Standing Committee meeting will be on June 4th, 2024. Can I have a motion for adjournment?
I move we adjourn the meeting at 9:27 p.m.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? I